So far, police have not revealed what might have driven Adam Lanza to kill 27 people, including 20 children, before turning the gun on himself. But are there any clues? Mary Ellen O'Toole is a former senior profiler for the FBI and the author of Dangerous Instincts: How Gut Feelings Betray Us. She's in our Washington bureau this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I think the first thing, obviously, that strikes everyone and that makes this particular crime seem so different are the ages of the children. I mean, did that shock you as much as it shocked everyone else?
I was absolutely stunned when I heard about the number of children and their ages. It's just absolutely stunning regarding this victimology.
And then you ask yourself, how could someone do this? Why would someone do this?
It's very difficult for people like you and me to really comprehend how you can possibly target so many children who are so young, but that may be the very reason that they were targeted, because they're very vulnerable, they're fragile, they're helpless, they don't fight back, they're really contained in those classrooms, they can't run. So from the perspective of the shooter, they make perfect victims, perfect targets. It's a horrible thing to say, but behaviorally, that's probably a strong consideration for him.
Mary Ellen, it's John Miller in New York. Thanks for joining us again
You're welcome.
to help us out in one of these tragedies. One of the things that throws me for a loop in this is in the offender characteristics we've seen in other cases, and I've learned a lot of this from you, is that people tend to lash out at the people in the world that they think have shut them out or isolated them. That means killing coworkers at the office or fellow students of their own age at a high school, for instance. What does it signal or say in this case where the offender kills children who he probably never met or knew and certainly weren't the source of the issues in his life?
That's right. These children did nothing to him. They were, for the most part, John, they would have been strangers to him. Based on what is known right now, there does appear to be some relationship that this shooter most likely had with that school. And that relationship could have come from the mother if she worked there, which seems to be almost the impetus here. So if those children were important to the mother, going in and killing what's important to the mother could have been one of the primary motives behind targeting those specific children in those specific classrooms.
If I might follow up, the other thing that we've always talked about together is warning behavior. In almost every case, the killer sends out signals before they're going to do something. Do you expect to see that here, even from an individual who, as his reports shape up, seems to be a bit of a loner?
I do expect to see that here, and isn't that the characterization that we hear so often on these shooters, that they're loners and they're somewhat of recluse? However, I do expect to see warning behaviors, and John, I expect to see multiple warning behaviors that were either ignored, rationalized, explained away, but they are going to be there, and I think as the investigation continues, those will be revealed.
Which, Mary Ellen, you bring up such an interesting and good point, because oftentimes this is what happens. There are warning signs, they are ignored, and it's hard to separate the true criminal from a person who just happens to have some really negative warning signs in their life, which never comes to fruition.
Well, that's right. And when we talk about warning signs to law enforcement or to the schools, what we tell them is, look, don't vet these warning signs yourself. Call law enforcement. Let law enforcement vet them, take a look at them, investigate them, because you may have just one piece of the puzzle with the warning sign that you saw. And with all those pieces, law enforcement would be able to say, this is a serious threat, or there's nothing to it. But don't vet that warning behavior on your own.
Mary Ellen O'Toole, thank you so much. We appreciate your insights.